Hello, fellow Power Ranger fans. It's Zach with a podcast named Tim. Today, as you can click on the video, you know what's up. It is another Beast Morphers review, episode 9, Silver Sacrifice. And as always, we're going to review the episode and then at the end give a rating for the monster of the week. This week it is Antennadrone. So thank you for checking out the video. Please give it a thumbs up and, of course, subscribe to the channel. With that being said, let's get into the review. This episode is a direct follow-up in some respects to last week when they opened the Cybergate, or tried to. If you recall, we now have two new Rangers, and that is Silver and Gold. We have Nate, who of course is the boy genius, who is now the Gold Ranger with his Mantis DNA, and then we have the Silver Ranger, who is Scarab Beetle DNA, and a robot, and some of Nate's DNA. So he's part human, part robot, part scarab. His name is Steel, and he's the Silver Ranger. So with Silver Sacrifice, of course, this is going to be a heavy episode on him and their dynamic, their new family dynamic. Silver, I guess or Steel, we should say, is very much a bro, very cocky, funny. He actually has a lot of very well written one-liners. But he's also sometimes misunderstands some of the social cues and jokes that we would normally say, like hanging out. They mention that later. He doesn't really understand what's going on. But anyway, Nate has built them new Zords. New Power Rangers, got to have new Zords. And they are going to go test them out. He wants to do a maintenance repair on Silver, the Silver Power Ranger. And basically he's like, you don't need to worry about me. If I get messed up, you can just replace me. And Nate, of course, who has this really strong urge to want to have a brother, says that you're special, you're my brother, could never replace you. They decide to go on a little brotherly workout and go on a jog. Meanwhile, the villains, Scrozzle is fixing the Cybergate. They're not going to give up on this plan to bring Evox back. I should say we're 9 episodes in. I'm kind of ready now. We're halfway through the season. It's a 22 episode season. In the next 2 episodes ish, I think it's about time to bring Evox back. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that'll be, towards the very end of the season. But to me, I'm kind of ready to get there and see what he's all about and see what it's like with him being in charge. Anyway, he's rebuilding this Cybergate. Roxy and Blaze decide that they're going to infect with the weird Morphex an antenna. And the plan here is we're going to track the Rangers' communications so we can find out where Steel is and basically bring him back, capture him, and redo what we tried to do last episode, get Evox into the robot body. The big thing today, of course, again, like I said, new Rangers means new Zords. We can take a look at them early on. It's the Wrecker Zord, which is the Gold Ranger Zord. And then the Jet Zord, which is Silver's. And we do find out something interesting. These Zords can actually teleport directly into battle. So they have some upgrades for the newer Rangers, as always. Ben and Betty, our comic relief, of course, are on top, cleaning the Zords, and immediately fall and slide all the way down. General Burke, their father, also comic relief, although he plays a little bit more of a serious role in this episode. And it does not lend itself to his acting abilities, but that's neither here or there. But he basically, they have to get authorization to get the Zords ready as far as fueling them up and bring him out to the field. He's very military. We got to go by the book. He wants a bunch of paperwork done before that can be taken care of. While Ben and Betty take care of that, all of our Rangers decide to go hang out at the Riptide Gym. I think this is the first time the gym has been mentioned by name. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but this is kind of it's our Ernie's, for this. But it's where they hang out. So they go to the Riptide Gym. Of course, the bad guys are listening in. They know that's where we can go to get the Steel. And Blaze and Roxy, of course, show up. There's a fight, and this goes into one of my tropes that I don't like about Power Rangers here. Nate is very good at fighting now, all of a sudden. And I'm not saying he should never be good at fighting, but now that he's become a Power Ranger, I get if he's able to fight in Power Ranger mode, but just taking our boy genius and immediately make him a good fighter in non-morphed mode I would like first of all, it gives you an episode where he can learn and train. So you're missing out on a story beat you can do there. But just one of the things I don't like, where it's like you become a ranger who's not supposed to be one, and then you're automatically you can fight. So didn't really, not my cup of tea. I understand it's done, but I think they missed out on an opportunity to do an episode. His brother Steele could have trained him. They could have we could have had an episode with them bonding and him teaching him how to fight. But it is what it is. Pretty good fight overall. A lot of unmorphed fight. This season has done a lot of unmorphed fights, and it works to their advantage because the actors know what they're doing. General Burke. After this fight, the Rangers go back. It is clear and obvious they have figured out the bad guys want Steele for some reason. They figure out, of course, that's because they want to try the plan again. And General Burke actually makes a pretty good call here in some respects. You can debate whether what you would do from a tactical standpoint, but it is not a decision that a comic relief based character would make. He basically says, we're going to shut you down, Steele. Your danger and the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And so we're shutting you down, and we're going to put you in a bunker and make sure that Evox can never get into your body. Of course, Nate and the Rangers are not happy about this. He is one of them, and he's Nate's brother. So they decide to break a direct order. They escape together, and the Rangers' plan is we're going to go destroy the Cybergate, and when we do that, then Evox and Scrozzle and them can't put their plan into place. And thus they won't need steel, and thus we can keep them operating and alive. So they deliberately disobey an order. I thought that was very interesting. This is a couple times they've actually gone against Grid Battle Force. I should say I would prefer General or Commander Shaw to have a more presence. She seems to be taking a lot of a backseat to things sometimes, and I just prefer her to General Burke, and maybe would have created a better dynamic, in my opinion, because then you'd have her and Ravi kind of butting heads. But again, General Burke made the call, and I guess he is the boss. Ben and Betty decide to when the Rangers disappear, the General, of course, is looking for them. Ben and Betty have turned or trying to turn in their paperwork that it's a giant comic pile that they're trying to turn in. It accidentally gets put in the shredder. They're not happy about it, and the General decides that they're going to go find the Rangers on their own. Before the Rangers can go in to take care of business, Grid Battle Force, like the security, kind of shows up. They complain about them disobeying an order. They don't want them to get their plan. And I should say, Ben and Betty said that they're going to go look for the Rangers and help them because no one can find them. And somehow they show up here. This is one of the really weird. They just kind of, I think the writing got stuck, or we got missed a deleted scene or something, because it says that they're at Grid Battle Force, Ben and Betty that is, and they're going to be looking for the Rangers, and then all of a sudden Roxy and Blaze out of nowhere have captured them and have them hostage. No clue how that happened. It just happened. So it was a weird, I was like, when did that happen? Weren't you at base? Were you out? Why didn't we see you get captured? I don't know. It was a weird moment. Of course, they are hostages. It's an easy deal. We'll give you your kids back, General Burke, if you give us the robot. And of course, he is very conflicted because he wants to protect the city, but he wants to protect his kids. And Steele does the noble thing. He said he's going to turn himself over because he learned, that Rangers help people in need, and family is very important, and so he's going to help the general out. And this sacrifice actually, and Nate's reaction, leads the general to realizing just how much Nate and Steele mean to each other and how they really are family. Earlier in the episode, he'd kind of mocked it, the idea of them being brothers. But Nate is very upset, but the general gives him the go-ahead to go and save the Silver Ranger. I should say Evox, they get it taken care of. They are the bad guys basically get the Cybergate operational. Evox tries to do his fusion with Steel, and it's rejected. He says there's human DNA in here. I'm not compatible with it, basically. And so then we have our Ranger fight where things pick up a little bit. I should say, if you notice, not a lot of Antennadrone. He's kind of just in the background a couple times. That you see him in one or two scenes doing the tracking. but he kind of takes a back seat in some respects to just being introduced to Steel and everything else that's going on. And after this, I should say, we do see a lot of red eyes with Steel. Even for a few seconds after the connection's broken. Don't know if that's going to come up later at some point. Maybe there's just a little bit of evil in him now. Who knows? But it'd be interesting, something to touch on. Steel ends up getting a saber, striker saber, and taking out the Cybergate. So that is destroyed. That plan is, for the time being, on hold. And then Antennadrone actually shows up to actually fight. He has like a trident that kind of looks like the electrical stuff you put on top of your roof, like to get like TV, the radio waves, but it's in like a trident form. And he's fighting them. Of course, we immediately go to the Gigadrone version of him, Antennadrone. And I should say this one does have a really interesting power. Antennadrone as a whole is built for a very specific purpose, just, doing the radio waves, listening to communication. But the Gigadrone version of him, he actually like shoots out Gigatronics, the foot soldier version of Gigadrones. And I thought that was cool that he just like had them in his arsenal to shoot out. They've been using that a lot, and I really like the idea of having those foot soldier level monsters out there. But anyway, he's defeated by the Racer Zord, or excuse me, the Racer Zord goes out to fight him. The Gold and Silver Rangers immediately come out to help. They are in their I guess, beast mode, and they latch on to the Gigatronics and do they suck out their Morphex. So they come and help them out. Yellow and Blue are fighting the Antennadrone, the smaller version. And then we get the Red Ranger takes care of the Antennadrone and knocks him out with, of course, the little Beast Blast saber. At the end of the episode, we do the give a hand joke. I wrote hand joke. I was like, what is this? We do the, thank you for giving a hand, and he takes off his hand because he's a robot. Gotta have to do that joke, of course. So a decent episode. It was a necessary one, I guess, in some respects, just to hammer home. First, get more personality of Steel, learn about the new Zords, follow up on the Cybergate, but there was just like some weird and wonky writing again. I didn't appreciate the trope of now Nate's just a fighter and Ben and Betty just kind of coming out of nowhere. So, all in all, an okay episode. And Antennadrone, let's get into our rating system. If you've never checked these out, it's 5 categories we look at, and the max you can get for each category is 5 points. So the best monster ever would be 25, and the worst would be 5. So for the look, I gave Antennadrone a 3. I think he's a very average looking monster. I'm sure there's a video or a picture around here somewhere, but I think he's a very average looking. It looks like what I would imagine a Power Rangers antenna-based monster would look like. I don't mean that in a bad way or a good way, just nothing to write home about. As far as the plan, I gave it a 3. Listening into communications is a generic plan, and we're trying to just do what we did last week, do the robot again. So a couple points off for trying to repeat the same plan. And they did, of course. I do appreciate that they made a monster specifically for this purpose, but again, it's kind of a one-trick pony in some respects. And then for the powers, again, I gave them a 3. I had it at a 2, but when taking into account what the Gigadrone did, version of it with launching out its own Gigatronics, that bumped it up because it just does the listening into communication, and that's really it from a fighting perspective. It has the trident, but not much else. So an average 3. For success, I gave it a 2. Mainly because it would have been a 3, but it was defeated by just the Red Rangers Zord, and we've seen now we're at Megazord level. Once you've shown us the Megazord and shown that monsters need to have that to be defeated, any monster that doesn't use it is going to get some points taken off. So 2 for success, and for the voice 2, it was the kind of generic robot monster that you would do, the generic robot antenna voice that anyone would use for it. But I gave it a 2. It was you could argue a 3, but not super great. So if I am doing my math correct, adding it all up, that brings us to, for Antennadrone, a 13. So a little bit below average in some respects, but it's a good monster, and nothing to write home about. What are your thoughts on Antennadrone? What are your thoughts on the episode as a whole? Do you like Steel now that you've got to meet him a little bit more? And how would you rate the episode? How would you rate the show? And of course, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll see you next time here on a podcast named Tim.